I want to dive into this concept that creativity isn't just about waiting for the perfect idea to hit, right? It's about the constant creation of work. We should never be idle, right? We should never not be creating. You never know what's going to work, right? Never let your hands be idle. It's this concept and this mindset of I'm continually going to get these ideas that I have inside of me out. Just keeping the flow, right? Consistent creation creates a state of flow. That's what I mean by keeping the flow, right? And it's not always trying to be perfect. Again, it's just trying to come up with the concept and make it and bring it to a reality. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the new episode of the Myles podcast. This is Myles Jr., your host. And as always, the vision and goal of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist. Always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. Today, I want to talk about this topic of quantity matters, or keeping the flow. You know, I want to dive into this concept that creativity isn't just about waiting for the perfect idea to hit, right? It's about constantly creating, or the constant creation of work. I want to lay a foundation for this pod. I want to start off by reading a scripture, right? The life book. This is the book that I personally live by. So I want to read Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 6. And it says, "Sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle. For you don't know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well." And, you know, I internalized that scripture, and, you know, it means so much, right? Because it keeps reminding me of the fact that we should never be idle, right? We should never not be creating. We should constantly be trying to get the ideas that are in our minds and in our hearts out and make them a reality. You know, we just finished, or just came off the Super Bowl a few weeks ago at this point. And, you know, the halftime performance was Kendrick Lamar, and everyone obviously was tuned in, you know, for the drama that was behind all of that. But, you know, the biggest song of the moment is Kendrick's "Not Like Us" song, right? And, you know, I was reading an article about the producer of the song, DJ Mustard, right? And, you know, it said that DJ Mustard, well, he said that he literally was producing beats on a daily basis for Kendrick Lamar during a period of time, right? Specifically for Kendrick. And that him producing those beats turned into, you know, what was the smash hit that's "Not Like Us." But for DJ Mustard, you know, the amount of beats that he said he produced in a 90-day period was 450 beats. So just imagine, right? That works out to about 5 beats a day, right, for 3 months. And just imagine the amount of time it would take for someone like DJ Mustard to produce a beat, right, for an intended rapper or singer, you know, whoever. And he did all this for one person. Now, you know, Mustard is a producer that produces for more than just one artist, right? He's been around, been successful, has had a few hits to this point, but still works, right? Still churns out beats, still works on his creativity, still fine tunes his craft, right? He hasn't settled for the successes that he has achieved thus far. You know, he keeps working. And to produce 5 beats a day for an individual, man, that just shows like an incredibly insane work ethic, right? 450 beats in 3 months. And this is what he did, right? And, you know, he flooded Kendrick with the beats that he produces, right? And for him, I think the concept was quantity over perfection, right? I'm sure he didn't spend hours perfecting each and every beat, right? It was about, man, let me just get this idea out and get this to the person that it is intended for them to then lend their creativity to what I produce, right? And it reminds me of the law of averages, right? And the law of averages is basically the more attempts that you make, the higher probability for success. Consistency and volume builds a higher chance of creating sustainable success than anything else will, right? So being consistent in creation, right, and ensuring that the level of volume that you're continually producing at, it bodes over time that something is going to be successful that you're doing. And this is something that I do every year. Like each year, I try to ideate a new idea. I try to produce something new. I try to bring something new to fruition, to reality, right? Where it's not, the same things that I've done in the past, or even if it is something I've done in the past, this year I'm doing it in an entirely different way, right? I'm continually trying to churn out ideas, because like Ecclesiastes 11:6 says, like you never know what's going to work, right? Never let your hands be idle. So whatever I'm doing from 9 to 5 is something entirely different that I'm doing from 5 to 9, right? And it's this concept and this mindset of I'm continually going to get these ideas that I have inside of me out. And it's not trying to be perfect, right? Because there's this myth where people think that, or people tend to think that the things that they produce, they want it to be at this perfect level before it's released, right? They need it to be sounding right, looking right, feeling right, all of these things that perfectionists, that we all tend to like kind of adhere to from time to time, right? And it sometimes causes us to not release what it is that we're producing, right? Because honestly, quality does not always need to be preceded by quantity, right? So the sense of trying to perfect something before it's released, sometimes it keeps us stagnant, right? And it doesn't help us to be productive as we want to be. Yeah, go ahead, babe.
That reminds me of the app, the Monroe Global app. If you haven't had it, please download it.
I want to introduce you to the Monroe Global app, the ultimate platform to empower your leadership journey and inspire your purpose-filled life. Access timeless teachings designed to help you grow in every area of your life. From leadership development to personal growth, Monroe Global has it all at your fingertips. With the Monroe Global app, you'll have exclusive access to powerful videos and messages from the legendary Dr. Myles Monroe, a digital library packed with life-changing content right at your fingertips, and a vibrant global community of visionaries, leaders, and change makers just like you. Whether you're at home, on the go, or in the office, the Monroe Global app ensures you never miss an opportunity to learn, grow, and lead. Available now on Google Play and the Apple App Store, the Monroe Global app is your gateway to unlocking your potential and impacting your world. Download the Monroe Global app today and take the first steps toward living the life you were born to lead.
So remember the first iteration of it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible, but it did what it needed to do. And it has come from a point of, we can't even recognize where it came from now that it functions so very well.
So let's not even dance.
Don't bring me in this. Don't bring me in this.
Let's not even dance over the fact that you didn't even like the idea of the app at first,
that
right?
bad.
So I had this idea of I was trying to think of a way to get, and I've talked about this before, right? To make our resources available to individuals, like regardless of where they were, they would be able to access the resources of our organization, Monroe Global, and my dad and my family, right? And I thought of, and this was during 2020, so during the COVID era, and everyone was at home, everyone wasn't doing anything, and I for me, I realized, man, people were, I myself was paying a lot of attention to like social media, streaming, anything that was available online or digitally, like I was like really paying attention to, and because we couldn't do anything else around that time. And I remember I mentioned to Sharice, I was like, man, what do you think about me like creating an app for all of our resources and putting our resources in this place that people could recognize, right? And for her, it was like, oh, that don't make sense. It's so expensive to do it and this and that or whatever. Like every excuse she could have given me, she gave.
I did.
And, I didn't allow that to deter the idea of the app, right? And, to her point, I got with some developers, developed an app and released it. Now, I myself would say that initial rendition of the app wasn't the best. But it wasn't about perfection to me, right? Because I always knew like I can perfect as I go. Like once I get this idea out and I lay it down, then I could start to like take it apart and revise it and refine it and make it better, right? And that's kind of where we're at now, right? The app is in a much better space. If you haven't downloaded the app, I encourage you to go to the App Store and the Google Play Store and download the Monroe Global app, right? All of our resources are there, and we'll be continually updating it. But it's a platform that I wanted to use for that connectivity from people that want to be encouraged, want to be fed, want to develop themselves through our resources so that we can continually help people. I wanted to make that available, and it's been a work in progress, right? It's been growing and developing over all this time, and it's still going to be developed, right? So I know for a fact that the way the app looks today isn't the way it's going to look, 2-3 years from now, because I'm constantly trying to think of new ways, think of creative ways to innovate, to revise, and just to perfect what it is that I'm doing. But it doesn't stop me. The perfection of it, the idea of I need this thing to be perfect before I put it out, doesn't stop me from doing it, right? I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to produce. I'm trying to be creative.
No, I was going to hit on that same point because me and you are different in that light. If something isn't perfect for me, I'm like, yeah, no, can it? And I have to learn that you have to start somewhere, because if you continuously strive for perfection, you won't produce anything.
Yeah, because perfection or trying to be a perfectionist can lead to creative paralysis, right? Because you're here, you're creating, and you're critiquing it, right? You're picking it apart, finding everything that's wrong with it, as opposed to saying, man, it's okay for now. It's going to serve the purpose that it needs to serve right now. Let's just release it. And I think the goal should be quantity, right? Because quality, again, doesn't always need to precede quantity, right? It's just getting the idea out. It's keeping the flow of things, right? And that's exactly what I want to hit on, right? Just keeping the flow, right? Consistent creation creates a state of flow. That's what I mean by keeping the flow, right? Once you consistently are creating, you internalize the creation, right? You're creating this state of flow, this state of ideas constantly being, the concepts being created in your mind, which now comes into a thought, which now can come into a reality if you continue the process, right? And it's not always trying to be perfect. Again, it's just trying to come up with the concept and make it and bring it to a reality.
This also reminds me of content creators today and people who, are trying to go viral. The people who we see going viral have been doing this for so long. They make video on video and video and video and video and video, and they barely get any views, but they keep creating. They don't let the numbers dictate what they create. And then one day they go viral. And it reminds me of Tabitha. She was, at it for so long. And then her one video, I think it was about a sandwich. It went viral, and she has created so many things, cookware, recipes. She's now going to be on a children's show. So you just never know when your opportunity is going to come. So you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
And that's a good point, right? Because everyone gets discouraged because they be like, yo, I've been doing this for so long and I haven't seen any benefit from it. Or it hasn't gotten as successful as I wanted it to get. And they give up, right? And it's like, man, you are right there, or you never know actually where you are, right? It's just the point of just keep creating, right? Again, back to Ecclesiastes 11:6. Like you never know which of it is going to work, right? So just produce and keep producing and keep producing, and don't allow it to become monotonous, right? Or don't lose the joy of the creation, right? Because the idea was given to you for a reason, right? You have it for a reason. And, for you out there who may be discouraged at this moment because you feel like you've been doing something and you just haven't been as successful as you want to be, my challenge to you is to keep pushing, keep creating. Don't allow the lack of success or what you may feel the success should be, don't allow that to deter you from continuing, because it's important that you do.
And always remember why you started. Remember your why, because if you started to help people and you're helping at least one or two people, you fulfill the goal that you set for yourself. So don't stop.
Yeah, and so, in keeping the flow, like you create this momentum, and that creation of momentum, it helps you, or it deters you from like distractions. It deters you from the doubt that that may settle in, and it also deters you from trying to always be perfect in what you do. Right? I call it creative momentum. Right? You build up this momentum with your creativity to where, man, you're focused more on trying to get the idea out than trying to perfect the idea, because again, that perfection can cause creative paralysis, which can cause you to be stagnant. So, the idea, the thought, the challenge is to, man, just keep creating, right? Because over time, the patterns that we go through, right? Once we start to create, we're going to figure out and start to realize like what works from what doesn't work. Like what's the best way to do it? Because, the constant creation of things, it helps you, right? It helps you to see, well, the first year, this is what I did. Man, I could tweak this and make this a little better as you revise and review everything that you're doing. Again, once you continue to create and review the patterns or see the patterns, then you're able to continually be productive, right? It reminds me of a quote from Michael Jordan. He says he's failed over and over in his life, and that is why he succeeds. And like, think about it, right? You have this arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, right? For some people, LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time. For me, let's just make that known. But Jordan, again, arguably, right? I think you could present a great argument as to why Jordan could be known as the greatest of all time, and it's because part of it is because the amount of work that he puts in, right? The practices, the development, encouragement that he gives himself. What he does in the off season and out of the limelight to that allowed him to be able to produce on the court, right? But even in the work that he's been doing off the court, he hasn't always succeeded on the court, right? But that didn't deter him from attempting shots or taking the last shot or wanting to be successful, right? And that drive that he had, right, to consistently work on his craft and perfect himself as an athlete, it has allowed him to be successful. So when we're talking about the creative momentum, like that's what it's about. It's not worrying about the amount of times that you might have failed or you might have missed the mark or you created something that wasn't quote unquote perfect, right? But it's about being consistent in the creation, and at some point, something is going to turn around and then you're going to be successful. So, I've said all that. Now we get to the point where you may be asking, like, man, okay, so how do I keep this flow? Like, what can I do to keep flow, to think more about quantity over quality, right? And I have 4 keys, right, or 4 suggestions I want to leave with you, just to encourage you and challenge you to keeping the flow of that creativity. The first is just to set daily and weekly goals, right? You set quotas for the day, the week, the month of this is what I am gonna dedicate myself to produce or create within a given day or within a given week or within a given month. And you just be consistent with that, right? Whether that's whether you're a content creator, whether you're a graphic artist, whether you're a visual artist, like whatever it is that you do, right? You're challenging yourself to just create. I'm not going to worry about if it's great or if it's a hit, if it's going to make me a bunch of money. Like, that's not the worry right now. The concern is I just need to get these ideas out, right? So set daily quotas for yourself so that you can be a bit more disciplined and structured in the creation of these ideas, right? And then the second, like I've been saying, is don't critique the work. Stop critiquing. Stop over critiquing, right? When you produce it, make it and let it go. Like going back to the mustard discussion and him creating 450 beats for Kendrick Lamar over a 3-month period. Now, I think I would be justified in saying that I'm pretty sure all of those beats weren't like the best, right? Some of those beats probably was even trash. But we talking about maybe 1 or 2 or 3 out of 450, right? Because I'm sure like, you know, the first 5, 10, 15 beats, like he was kind of warming up and getting himself in tune to the sound that he was trying to create. And then, you know, the rest of the beats, it was just now trying to perfect and trying to be a bit more diverse and flexible in the way of the instruments or the things that he was putting in the beats came together. And it's just continually creating without worrying about it being perfect and not really critiquing it.
I would like to push back.
Do you feel like there's more to life than what you're experiencing? That deep down, you're meant for something greater? It's time to stop wondering and start discovering. At the Monroe Institute of Leadership, we believe every person carries a unique purpose, a calling designed specifically for you. Our transformative courses, Discover Purpose and Unlock Your Potential, are crafted to help you uncover that purpose and equip you with the tools to step confidently into your destiny. These powerful courses are for leaders, entrepreneurs, students, and visionaries like you. Through proven principles and actionable insights, you will clarify your vision and set bold goals. You will identify your strengths and passions. You will overcome the barriers holding you back, and you will step boldly into your God-given potential. Our expert facilitators draw from timeless and tested principles, blending practical strategies with kingdom truths to empower you to lead a life of purpose, impact, and transformation. The world needs what you have to offer. Don't let another day pass without unlocking the greatness within you. Visit our website, themill.org, and register today. The Monroe Institute of Leadership. Renew your mind and transform a generation.
So maybe those 450 beats were perfect, but not perfect for Kendrick.
Right.
So we can say what you're producing might be perfect, but not for your intended audience.
But then, I mean, so that brings up the point, right? So creativity is relative, right?
It
Like
is.
what is for me, what I may like, what might not be what you may like. So what I may call perfect, you might call perfect.
Exactly.
But like, so you're a great example, right? Things that you create, that you critique. And you would bring it to me and be like, what do I think? But I'd be like, yo, this is great. Like, why are you holding this? Let this out. Like, put this out. And you'd be like, oh, it's not where I want it to be. And, you know, most of the time, consumers don't care about what you like. They don't care about what you want. They don't care about the perfection. They just, this is a great product, or this is a great service. This is something that I can use the way it is right now. I don't need it to be perfect.
I agree. And that leads me to a great example. When I decided to share our pregnancy story on my Instagram, that was not where I wanted to platform that. I wanted to have a whole set and I wanted to kick something off on my YouTube page. And then I'm like, if I keep waiting, it ain't gonna ever happen because I don't have any time to do hair and makeup, to get a set, find a sitter. Like, I just don't have the time. So I just was like, you know what, let me just start here. And that's how that movement started.
And it's just finding creative ways to get it out, right? Finding the creative ways that we are capable of doing to get these ideas out.
And I also believe we are in a period now where people care less about perfection and how things look more than they're concerned about the message.
No, absolutely. So again, you know, key points in keeping the flow. One is to set a daily quota so that you can lock down some time where you're forcing yourself to be creative, right? And to creatively produce. The second is don't critique. Don't try to be a perfectionist. Don't try to make perfect things. Like Cherie says, like, we're in this era where, you know, I don't even think people care about perfection. They care about what the product or service can do for them, or what they can get from it, or how they like it, right? Because again, what I like or what may be perfect for me might not be perfect for you. And the same for you, what you find perfect may not be perfect for others. So what you're sitting down and quabbling about and saying, man, this isn't good, doesn't make sense, I put this out, you're doing yourself a disservice, because I can guarantee you there's a segment of the population that loves whatever it is that you're creating the way that it is right now. And the onus is just to put it out. And then in that, you know, the third is to use the feedback from the things that you've created to perfect it, right? So you may put something out and you get feedback from customers or friends or family, and they see these different things that you could implement to make it better, or even you yourself, right? Once you put it out, you see how people interact with it, see how it operates in the open space, and you yourself could look at it and be like, oh man, I could do this and that better. I could make this, you know what I mean? And you could use that data to perfect what it is that you're doing. And then the fourth, because sometimes when we create and constantly create, we could get to a sense of burnout, right? So the fourth is to balance creation with rest when needed. You're always going to need to take some time off, take some time away. And if even just to refresh your mind, refresh your creativity, step away from it, right? Take some time off. And I think like if you are able or capable of implementing these four steps, I think you will see your creativity boost to another level, especially when it comes to like not trying to be perfect, right? Because the goal shouldn't be the quality. It shouldn't be quantity. Now, I'm not saying that what you produce should be trash, right? I don't want you to go out there and be like, okay, I'm just going to make some garbage thing and just throw it out there. No, right? Like you do want a level of quality with it. But I think we all know that whatever we produce or create at a certain point, it gets to a point where it's okay to put out, right? It may not be perfect, but it isn't like on the trash level to where it's going to be garbage if it's introduced to the public. But once it gets to that point of, maybe not perfect, but it's good, right? Put it out and see what happens. You'd be surprised of the response that you're going to get. And I'm sure, like, I think there's countless of stories that we've heard where persons say, man, I've been trying or creating something intentionally for so many years, and this one thing that I created or that I released that I wasn't really even paying attention to, like that's the thing that took off. That's the thing that allowed me now to be able to bring success into these other areas that I've been working on. So you never know what's gonna work, man. So the whole goal should be to continually create, right? Keep the flow going, right? Build that creative momentum to the point where it becomes a habit, right? You're habitually now creating and bringing to fruition the ideas that are inside of you. And I think once you continue to do that, you're gonna be like mustard, right? You're gonna give 450 creations to someone, and one is gonna hit and change your life forever, right? It's gonna take you from an unknown to a known, right? Just gonna put you on a different level, and you're gonna be able now to see how your productivity, right? Your creativity has propelled you into just a new stratosphere of success. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Babe, anything else you want to share?
No, I'm good.
So, man, that's that was entirely my encouragement, my challenge. Just try to be creative, try to continually produce, right? Quantity matters more than quality does, right? So I just wanted to encourage you with that. So with that brings us to the milestone that I want to leave with you for this episode. And that milestone is simply this: embrace the journey, not the outcome, right? The journey of creation, the journey of success is way more important, or it's way more valuable than the success itself. And, the value is in the process. And this hit home for me. Like I say, the Super Bowl just finished several weeks ago, and AJ Johnson, one of the receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles, the team that won the Super Bowl, he did an interview. I think it was no, he didn't do an interview. He released a statement on his on the social media page, and he was just kind of talking about his expectations of winning everything and being a champion finally after all this work he had put in, and him realizing that, man, what I thought I would have felt after winning wasn't what it was, right? And I want to read verbatim what he said, because I feel like this speaks to why we should continually enjoy the journey, focus on the journey more than the outcome. So he said, after a few days, I've had time to reflect on being a champion. I tried to feel how everyone made it seem to be a champion, and unfortunately, it was short-lived. 2 days to be exact. I've never been a champion at the highest level before, but I thought my hard work would be justified by winning it all. It wasn't. My thrill for this game comes when I dominate. It's in the hunt. It's the hunt that does it for me. It's when defensive back drops his head and surrenders because he can't F with me. The intense battles, early mornings, late night sacrifices. I love putting smiles on people's faces. Don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't what I thought it would be. It's the journey that I love the most. Back to work. So think of it. This is a guy that just came off winning the Super Bowl 2 days before. And he's literally realizing, man, like, winning is cool. This was fun, felt good, but after 2 days, it's like, time to get back to work, right? Because the joy or my value isn't in this championship, right? My value is in knowing the work that I put in. And I think even in with that being said, knowing the work that you put in, it allows us to really not focus or not care too much for the success, or if we're not successful, right? Because we're so focused and we value the process so much that whether we're successful or not, we already see the value in everything that we do. All right, so that's what I want to leave with you today. Hopefully that resonates with one of you out there listening. All right, so that brings us to the end of this episode. I just want to continue to encourage you to keep the flow, man. Keep that creative momentum going. Keep producing, right? The goal should be to die empty, right? Like my shirt says, we don't want to go to the grave with these thoughts and ideas in our minds, in our hearts, in our heads, right? The goal is to die empty, so keep producing, all right? As always, the vision and goal for this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist, always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right, until next time, you guys stay blessed.